Hi, everyone. You're listening to Unlocking Greatness podcast with Zenja Glass. I want to talk about superior results. This is the year I am sincerely praying in my heart that you experience superior results in your life in ways that you've never even imagined. I want God to overwhelm you to the point where you just can't even imagine that before this year is out, that He's done so much. This is a year of superior results. But there's a secret to that, and I want to talk about that in a minute. I want to read through Proverbs chapter 3, and I'm probably going to read just the first couple verses, maybe down to verse 4 or so. And I want to just share with you guys just a little bit about how God moves and how we can achieve superior results in our lives, or how, let me rephrase it, how we can manifest. So let's talk about it. In Proverbs chapter 3, in verse 1 through 4, it says, "My son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart. They will prolong your life many years and bring you prosperity. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man." I want to marinate on this passage a little bit. Starts off saying, "My son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart." Verse 2, "For they will prolong your life many years and bring you prosperity." Let's think on that for a second. How is it that keeping God's commands prolongs our lives and brings us prosperity? How is that possible? How in the world is that possible? Well, when you dig further into the scriptures, and I'm going to make this a short broadcast, I'm not going to go too long into it, but even if you start off in Psalm 1, I don't like paraphrasing, so let me go to it, where it talks about blessed is the man who, keeps his command, and how he's like a tree planted by streams of water, and everything he does shall prosper. But let me just read it, because I just felt in my spirit I don't need to rush this. In Psalm 1, verse 1 through 3, it says, "Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever he does prospers." Now, there's several passages in the Bible that says the same thing. Basically, the man that keeps God's commands, who's meditating on his laws, who's meditating on what he's saying to do, who's binding love and faithfulness around his neck. Consistently throughout the Bible, the Bible teaches us that whatever this person does, that they're going to prosper. That is actually the secret. That's the secret. And if you let me take you behind the scenes a little bit, I just want to use my life as an example, because I was actually crying about this morning. And I mean crying in a good way. I've been spending so much time meditating, going deep into the Word of God, and asking Him to reveal things to me and to show me visions and give me wisdom and insight in every area of my life, not only in my marriage and with my children and the way that I live and my business, my finances, in every area. I am blown away by what God does. I want to give you guys two quick examples, and I'm gonna wrap this up, because I'm praying that this lifts and encourages you. Just the other day at my office, first of all, when I got up in the morning from prayer and meditating, and I don't know about you guys, but I pray all through the night. If I have to get up and go through the bathroom, I'm in a prayer. Sometimes I wake up, ironically, around 3 in the morning. I naturally wake up a lot, and I'm just in prayer. But anyway, I'm getting dressed, and God put in my spirit, when you get to the office, you need to have a meeting with one of your, I have a manager that's over a certain division that's helping out with product and development. I'll get into all that later, because I have a lot I'm going to share with you guys this year. But the shortest version is, I have someone that's set on taking care of a division that really has been off and running and doing an excellent job, by the way, just an excellent job. And God put in my spirit just that morning, you need to get involved and find out what's going on in this one particular area, because if you don't, it's going to cost you quite a bit of money, and it's going to set you back quite a bit. And I'm thinking, what in the world? And so I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm just hearing this to myself. And I'm getting dressed. I'm finishing what I need to do. Same thing again. God hit me again in my spirit. As soon as you get to the office, have a meeting with your staff member and find out what's going on in this particular area. If you don't, this is going to cost you something. So again, I'm throwing that out my head because I have very responsible people that work with me, by the way. And I thought there's nothing going on. Like, I don't know if there's to talk about. So I'm sitting reading my Bible before I leave out of the house, just trying to get some more word in me. And God wouldn't even let me finish my scripture and said, you need to immediately get involved or this is going to cost you. I get to the office. Everything's going fine to me. I pull one of my managers aside and say, hey, can you tell me everything that's going on with this particular area? I said, for some reason, I just feel the need to get involved in. Is there something going on? And there was nothing bad, by the way, just so you know. But it was a situation that would have set us back quite a bit and cost me quite a bit. So he said what was going on. He said, hey, I'm taking care of it, da-da-da-da. The bottom line is I'll jump through all the hoops. I had to get involved literally at the last minute. And had I not gotten involved at that last minute, literally with probably not even an hour to spare, it would have cost my company quite a bit of money. It would have cost quite a bit of money. And it was a situation, I just want to be very clear. This is a very responsible leader in my company, just so you know. This is something that just came up out of the blue. He didn't even know about. And he sat down when it was all said and done. And we caught it literally just in the nick of time. It was just unreal. Or it would have been a major, major setback for us. And he said, Z, I know you do your podcast, and I've heard you many times talk on your podcast about how God speaks to you and da-da-da. He says, but I stand as a witness right now, like, this is unreal. Like, how did you pick up on something that was happening behind the scenes with one of our major vendors that we didn't even know about? And this would have set us back tremendously. And I just said to him, and if I can be frank, I just said, honestly, I didn't. It's just God was just speaking to me and saying I need to get involved in this right away, immediately. So you may say, well, where are you going with this? This goes back to this passage. Let's go back to it and read it again. And I give you some more examples, but I'm going to try to keep this podcast kind of short. My son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you prosperity. Interesting. Sometimes as Christians, for those of you who follow my podcast, who put yourself in that category, because I know I got a lot of people that follow, sometimes we can get weird. I know that I have when it comes to talking about prosperity. We almost feel like it's kind of wrong to do that. When really throughout the Bible, God wants to prosper us. He says it all throughout the Bible. There's countless passages and events and stories and things where God desires to prosper us throughout the Bible. When we keep his commands, when we follow him, when we walk in flow with the Spirit, here's what I'm trying to get at. God speaks to us. He guides us. He warns us. He shows us what we need to do. And sometimes we may not see it right at the time, but God makes it very clear. When I'm in a meeting, and this is why I want to do this podcast, I just want to share some behind the scenes thing. When I'm in a meeting with my crew, and there was a situation, we were in a meeting where it was taking the entire day to figure out a solution. There comes a point where I put a stop to it and I say, you know what? And I say to myself, this is not of God at this point, because there is no chaos and there's no confusion when I'm flowing in the Spirit. And I don't say that to my crew like that, but this is what I'm thinking in my spirit. So sometimes I'll stop the meeting. I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, I need to, sorry, something's in my throat. I said, I need to get back to the source. I need to go back to my source where that wisdom comes from, because that is the source of my prosperity. That is the source of my joy. That is the source of my peace in everything that I do. Does that make sense? You have to go back to the source. So you may say, well, Z, how is this relating to having superior results? All of it relates to it. All of it. God warns you from things that you should or shouldn't do. He directs you. He gives you guidance. He searches the hearts and minds of people. Let me give another example. One of the vendors that we utilize for one of my product and development areas, we got a really, really, really great rate from them on some parts and things we are using in order to be able, someone just gave me a bottle of water, thank you, in order to be able to launch this other product that we're doing. And the pricing module that they gave us was so good, it actually increased the profit margin that we're going to make per unit far more than what I predicted that we would be able to do. Well, after praying and meditating and being in my word, being in the scriptures, God just began to stir and put in my heart that I need to give more. I need to be wise in how I'm going about doing things with this particular vendor. So I had the manager that was over that particular area. I said, can you talk to this vendor to make sure that they're being profitable? Because they gave us a rate that's really pretty unbelievable. And I want to make sure that they're being profitable with what they're doing. I'm going somewhere with this. So my manager's like, really? Like, we got a great rate, but okay. Goes back to the company, speaks to the president of the company, says to the president of the company, hey, the president of my company is concerned and want to make sure that you're giving us some that you're getting a great profit margin on your unit, because we want a long-term relationship with you all, and we want to make sure that your crew is compensated well. And the president of that company says to my manager, who's over that particular division, says, who is this person? I don't understand any vendor that cares about our profitability. Most vendors only care about the bottom line. And my staff member who's over that area said to me, Z, the president was so moved. He just had never, ever in all his years, ever had a vendor come to him and talk about actually increasing the costs. And the president of that company is like, this is unheard of. So without going through all the details, we actually ended up raising the price of the unit. I gave them a price margin that we should probably stay within. And we rose the price of the unit. So I'm actually paying more out of pocket. Now, I know some of you who may be hearing this may be thinking, well, you ain't a good business person, because you need to be, squeezing that profit margin as much as you can so you can come out on top and make even more. I know some of you may be thinking that, but I follow the biblical principles in the Bible. Whoever sows generously will also reap generously. I follow the biblical principles of let love and faithfulness never leave you, bound them around your neck, write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. Let's not skip over that. Winning favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. Do you know the owner of that company? And I won't go into much detail because I don't want to go too deep into this. I'll just say we have such priority, it's not even funny. He's so stirred and moved in his heart that I just cannot believe that a vendor is actually concerned with our margins. And he's like, please let the president of your company know this helps us so much, because we wanted to win over your business. And now that you've allowed us to increase our profit margins, this really sets us up really well. We're going to completely take care of you guys. And they're doing a phenomenal job. But I like to rest well at night. And so I guess what I'm getting at with this, I'm trying to use some examples in my life because I don't really share what goes on a daily basis. You guys don't see how many times we've had people in our hallways. I'm talking grown men, grown women in tears because of some things we've done. And I won't go into detail because I don't believe you should always let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. But things that we do behind the scenes that most people wouldn't even do, simply because we were stirred and moved in our spirit that this is what God has told us to do. I'm a living witness. I'm a living witness. When you follow the principles of the Bible, when you do your best, and none of us are perfect out here, right? To follow the commands of God, to walk in step with his spirit, he overflows your cup and blesses you in ways that you can't even contain it. I really believe, and I've said this many times to you all before, God is able to put in you, God will put more in you if he knows he can get it through you. If he knows you won't become like this swampland where everything is about you and what you can get and how you can do more. I could have easily taken the situation with this one vendor that I just talked about. I could have very easily, really, to be honest, utilized that extra profit margin to do anything else I wanted to do. And there's nothing wrong, if you want to, get good profits and all that. We all, have to survive and pay our bills and things. But I thought through, man, God, how can I honor you in this? I'm already going to make more per unit on this than I predicted. What honors you in it? What honors you in that? And God just put in my spirit, you need to consider giving more to them. They need to be able to pay more to their crew with what they're doing. And they're doing a phenomenal job. And that's the step that I walked in. Does that make sense? So I'm just giving some examples of it. All of this relates to having superior results, because God turns around and blesses and opens doors that you wouldn't imagine. Do you know one of the most important things that you can gain in the sight of God is favor among men? Think about that. Favor among men. When you develop and have a reputation, not only of being a giver, but being a person of great integrity. Does that make sense? Of great integrity. I don't care how much money someone says they can bring to my company, and I've interviewed people, and I wish I can go into details, but I will not. But I've turned down a number of people who wanted to work here at my company that really could turn things around for us in a heartbeat. They can come in with big accounts and really take us to levels that we couldn't even imagine. But there was some integrity issues, cutting corners and doing some things. I remember once a long time ago, and I think I shared this when I was at an executive meeting. I don't want to go into too much detail because I won't go into too much detail because I'm in a lot of executive meetings. But I'll just say that someone approached me who has a lot of money. He owns probably one of the largest staffing agencies, I think, in the entire United States. And I remember he said to me, "I can make a lot of money if I partner with you." A lot of money. I won't go into detail as to why, but my company, because of what we do and what we stand for and our certifications, I'll just say that there's certain deals and things he can't get without being with a vendor that's in my category. I'll leave it at that. And I just remember making that decision that, you know what, I'd rather sleep well at night and have the little bit that God continues to give me and grow than to partner in a situation with someone who I strongly feel, and I won't go into detail, has some major integrity issues. I don't really like the way he talks to his staff, the way he treats people, the way he runs things and does things. And I'd rather continue doing what I'm doing than to reap all of that income. And it would have been a lot of income coming in, just so you guys know, a tremendous amount. But that's not who I am, because I can't partner with someone that doesn't have that integrity. Does that make sense? All of this still relates to having superior results. You don't have to, let me kind of wrap this up, and maybe I should have said this in the beginning, because you guys know I have nothing written down. I'm just kind of going on the fly. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing in order to have superior results. You can research all the people you want. You can look at all the competitors out there. You can have the best systems and things in place and still not achieve superior results. I truly believe, and I do believe in getting wisdom, mentorship, and all of that. In fact, I'm going to be rolling out a program soon if it's the Lord's will. Let me just say that. So I do believe strongly in learning from others, learning systems, learning processes, and getting that wisdom. But I'm going to tell you as a living witness, the greatest source of my wisdom and inspiration comes from God. It comes from the Word of God. And it comes from that secret wisdom that he feeds me and that he gives me. Does that make sense? When I first started this podcast, and even when I put out a broadcast or a message now, and this is not me bragging or being prideful, I'm trying to make a point. Many times I have no idea what I'm going to speak about or what I'm going to say. I was just praying, and God put in my heart, tell my people this. I go out there, I put a simple message out, especially if you go to my TikTok or Instagram or something. You're supposed to be putting up messages several a day is what the experts tell you to do. Am I right? Or at least one a day, right? And I average it, maybe 2 a week, if that. 2 a week in terms of total posts that I put up. And I do want to increase that, by the way, but that's just what I've been able to handle. And just from that, because of the wisdom that God gives me and the words he puts in my heart to say, the results have been phenomenal. It's as if God just pushes it out. It's as if people just share and share and share more and more content. You would think that we're running ads. We're not running a single ad. And yet by God's grace, I don't know, I think we're somewhere around 700, 800,000 subscribers at this point. That doesn't happen outside of running a gazillion ads and having major influencers by your side and doing all of that. I don't do any of that. I just simply, God told me to put this message in my spirit, and I get out there and post it. That's where the superior results come from. You're getting favor in the sight of men, where people are showing you kindness. People are sharing your content. People are, like in the case with the vendor that I mentioned earlier, going over and beyond to make sure that we're taken care of. Does that make sense? The superior results comes from having true intimacy with God. I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. I should have wrapped this up just by saying that. So many of us get stressed about what are we going to do? How are we going to get this company off the ground? Or how am I going to get my product or my service or whatever it is I'm trying to do, right? Or you've tried this and tried that. You up all night working on something through the night, through the weekend, just running yourself into the ground trying to force it, manifest and make something happen on your own. And I'm just trying to tell you guys, for those who are still listening right now, because I know I'm talking longer than I said I would, but I'm trying to tell you, the true superior results comes from that secret wisdom that God gives you. Every single thing that I've done and accomplished has come from that secret place where God is speaking and telling me to do something. Even with my book coming out now, and thank God my book is going off into print now. But even with my book coming out, God has given me some superior wisdom that I've not seen or heard anyone do. And I can't wait to begin to do it and to begin to announce the way that I'm rolling this out. But that came from that secret place. He's like, you're not going to do what everybody else is doing. I'm not going to have you do what every other author has been doing. When we roll my book out, and this is God speaking to me, here's how you're going to present it before the nations. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's powerful. I don't even know if anyone doing that. But that comes from that secret place. And then that warrants and that gives superior results. Does that make sense? So anyway, I pray you guys have been encouraged. I just wanted to read Proverbs 3, chapter 3, verse, what did I read? 1 through 4. I strongly suggest that you all take some time to read that. I pray that this is a year that you have superior results in your life like you would not believe. But I'm here to tell you, that comes from sitting in the presence of God, following his commands and watching him. And the way that I like to put it is putting pressure on his integrity. That's the phrase I like to use. Put pressure on his integrity and see if he's going to do what he says he will do. That's where that superior result comes from. And God will speak to you and give you a idea or wisdom or tell you something that you'll have people like my manager the other day is like, I don't even know how you knew this. How would you know this and you're not even in this division? You're not even working on this. Superior wisdom. Because God will speak and he will flow through you and he will cause men to have favor upon you. Does that make sense? Anyway, I love you all. I'm excited about some important announcements I'm going to be making soon, but that'll be, I don't know, maybe in the next or so podcast. It's coming up soon. I love you guys. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening. This is Z with Unlocking Greatness Podcast. Please don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the notification button. Love you all. Bye-bye.